Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance. Today's tool review is going to be a new Milwaukee product. It is the M12 fuel tool, and it is their compact brad nailer. Part number is 2541-20. I recently had a post about this, asking if anybody had picked it up yet, what your thoughts on it, all those kinds of things. Because back whenever they announced this, that it was going to be released, as soon as I saw kind of the preview of it and all those things, I thought, I'm buying that. As soon as it comes out, I think it would be extremely useful. Well, that was before I saw the price point of it. It comes in at $249 right now. Again, it's new. Maybe they'll drop it. Maybe they'll add a free battery with it at some point in time. But to me, that was a little bit pricey. And in my post, I even mentioned that the M18 brad nailer is on sale for $269. So you're looking at only a few more dollars, $20 more to where you could buy the M18 tool instead of the M12. So are the features of this worth it? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to run shorter nails in this one, longer nails in that one. But I could have just bought another M18 gun and put shorter nails in it, so I didn't have to swap back and forth, because there's a lot of jobs where I have to sit there and swap my nails back and forth on my M18. It would speed me up, and then this also gives me that compact size for the very few times. There's not been a lot of times for the work I do that this gun won't fit in the space, so that's the idea behind this video. That's what I'm going to talk about mainly, is who's the person that only needs the M12, who's the person that needs to buy the M18 if they don't have either one, and who's the person that can use both. And so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to show it to you in use a little bit, go over the features, all those kinds of things. But first, let's go ahead and jump into what kind of features it has and how it compares to that of the M18. So when we think about features and all those kinds of things, let's talk first about price. The M12 is going to run you $249. I picked mine up for $225 because I had a 10% off coupon, and that would be my recommendation. I think the price is a little high, but maybe you can catch it on a coupon. Maybe you can get a free battery with it, something like that a little bit later on. Of course, it's new right now, so that's probably not going to happen. But also the M18 is on sale, which makes it a harder decision, because if that was $300 and this was $250, you're talking about $50. Well, right now that one's on sale for $269. So it's only a $20 difference. So if you don't have the M18 right now, that would be my recommendation if you've got M18 batteries and all those kinds of things, just because that's going to be more useful. There's going to be some things that are going to come up that, the size nail in this might not work for you, and I'll get into that here in just a minute. But that's overall, that's the price difference between the two. And then when we talk about size, because that would be the main reason why someone would want to buy this, even if you already own the M18. And it's kind of hard to judge the size of it, kind of hard to find that exact spot to get a measurement. So if I just set these things flat out here, and I have that battery sitting on the ground, I put the M12 beside of it. If we talk about height, I'm talking about this way right here. M18 in a general way is about 3 inches taller than that of this M12 version. So that's quite a bit of difference. And then you talk about length. So I'm talking about this way right here. If I stick this gun on top of the other, you can see what you have left over right there, roughly about 2.5 inches that way. So again, this is more compact, going to fit in some spots where you can't fit that one. And then the biggest thing that's a fit in a spot difference for me anyways is this section right here. You get to the back, not a lot of difference there, but if we turn it up this way and we start looking up here at the front and we look right here and we compare that to the M12, you're looking at right around 3/4 to an inch difference. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but that might be the difference of this gun fitting into a space, a toe kick or something like that. That's the one spot where if I've had anywhere where this gun wouldn't fit, it's something like that. Something like where I'm installing a toe kick, installing some baseboard up and underneath of something. That's been the one time that this gun hadn't fit in many places. And again, I haven't had very few spots. I've had very few spots where this won't fit where I've wanted to. So that's made it even harder for me to make this decision. But with this one being narrow, that's going to allow me to get this one definitely in the spots, the very few spots that I haven't been able to get my M18. But that also affects storage as well, because like normally my pin nailer over there, if you compare the size of the M12 pin nailer and the M12 brad nailer, if I stick that on top of there, they're pretty similar. They're not a lot different. The M12 brad nailer is definitely bigger, but I keep my M12 pin nailer in a bag like this. This is probably maybe the type of bag that it came in, I'm not sure. But I can take this M12 brad nailer and it still fits inside of one of these cases right here, just the same as my pin nailer. I can't fit the M18 in here, obviously. And then if you're running pack out, the M18 gun, it will only fit in the 2-drawer, mainly because of that belt clip right there. So you have to pretty much have a 2-drawer for that to fit in if that's how you want to store it. Versus that of the M12, it will fit in the 3-drawer. So you can see that here. It fits in there, slides in and out super easy. So not only compact size for using the products or using the tools, But for storing the tools, this one's going to store a little bit easier, obviously. And then the biggest thing for you as far as size to consider, because again, this would be the main reason why you might want to buy this, is that this M12 brad nailer with the 2.0 battery in it weighs 4.6 pounds versus an M18 with a 2.0 battery in it. That's what I have there. I put it on my scale and it came in at 6.5 pounds. So almost a 2-pound difference. So a third of the weight of the M18. So again, if you're someone who uses trim nailers all day long, well then 2 pounds makes a difference over the course of an entire day. If you're someone who only gets out your M18 a couple times a week, 30 minutes at a time to nail up a few boards, whatever it is, then that's not a selling point for you probably as much. It would only be that if you needed those tight spaces, the weight wouldn't matter as much. But again, those are all things to take into consideration. To me, the biggest thing that you need to take in consideration is nail size. That's where if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. You know, the M18 will go from 5/8 to 2 1/8. I have 2-inch nails here. I don't even know if they sell 2 1/8, but it says it will do 2 1/8. You can let me know. I've never seen 2 1/8 inch nails versus that of the M12. It will only do 5/8 to 1.5 inches. So I've got some 1.5 inch DeWalt nails here that I picked up. Here's that 2-inch nails. You know, so you're talking about losing this plus an 1/8 inch if you can find 2 1/8 inch nails. You know, that's a matter of drywall. So if you're going through 3/4 trim through drywall into a stud, of course, then you might want to step up to a 16 gauge nailer or something like that. But if you always use your M18 brad nailer, you may not get there with that 1.5 inch. It might be really close. You might not have very much into that stud. So it doesn't matter if it's the right size. It's more compact. It weighs less. If you always use 2-inch nails, it's not the tool for you. But if you're like me, I use 2-inch nails in my M18. I also use 1.25 or 1.5 nails in my M18, and I have to swap back and forth all the time. So that's why I kind of really wanted this tool until I saw the price for it, because I was going to set up this with the 1.5, 1.25 nails, set up my M18 with 2-inch nails. I no longer have to swap nails around back and forth because there's a lot of jobs where I use one and the other, and I've got to swap back and forth all the time. It'll save me the time of swapping, and then also give me that capability to fit in some spots that maybe I couldn't fit in before, so that's why it would have been a good fit for me. But at the same time, right now for 20 bucks, I could buy another M18 and have it one set up for small nails, one set up for big nails, and then if one of my nail guns went out, I'd still have one that would shoot 2-inch nails all the time. So again, nail size, probably the biggest factor in your decision out of all those. You guys can let me know in the comments below if that's the deal breaker for you or not, or how often you run something above 1.5 inches, because again, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But overall, those are probably all the differences that you need to cover. Similarities wise is basically how they work. And again, I'm going to show it to you in action a little bit. But the M12 has the on-off button right here. Hopefully you can kind of see the green light circling that. I don't know if my lighting is going to knock that out or not. But you just turn it on and off by pressing that power button. Press and hold it down, green light's going to come on. You have two different modes on this. You got the single fire, which is lit up right now. Or I can press and hold that mode button, it swaps over to that rapid fire. So exactly the same as the M18 if you've been using that. It does have a belt clip, a little bit more compact than that of the M18. It kind of reminds me of my installation driver belt clip, but you can swap it from this side over to this side if that's what you want to do. It does have easy jam removal. It's the same kind of as the M18. You just pull this up, pop it back, get out your jam, and then take and slide it back in. Takes a matter of seconds. And then it does have the depth adjustment right here, so it's the same also as the M18. You can slide it down this way to go deeper, slide it up that way to pull it back out so that you can be more flush. It does come with a narrow tip right there. It does give you two of those as far as it gives you a replacement. And then they give you here a wider tip that's more flat. Obviously not going to fit back in some little tight places and things like that. But they do give you storage over here on the side to be able to snap those on. And I'm assuming you can probably buy, you know, extra ones and things like that as well. So as far as all those things, it's pretty much exactly the same as that of the M18. So those are all the similarities. Again, it's going to be that size and nail size that would pull you in this direction of picking up this nail gun. But let me go ahead and show it to you in action, show you some of the things it can do, show you why I would want both nail guns for my own self, and then again at the end I'll give you my recommendations on who needs what gun and those kinds of things. But let's go ahead and see it in action. So I'm going to start out with the depth setting set all the way to the deepest point. I'm going to be going through this 3/4 finger joint pine into basically a 2x8, and we'll shoot one nail. Makes quite a big nail hole, but of course I'm going pretty deep with that. I'm going to go all the way up now. So this will be the most shallow. It's got quite a bit of adjustment in it. And you can see I'm kind of coming in right below the surface. Nail hole's not that big, so we'll shoot several. Pretty consistent right there. I'll move over here to some 3/4 plywood as well. That's right at the top of the surface. Again, I can go a little deeper. Seems to be pretty good. So that's on that single fire mode right there. I'm going to swap it over to the bump mode. Then you can just hold the trigger. I can press and hold that in. And now I can just go one right after another. I don't feel like that's quite as fast as the M18. It's got a little bit of a delay every now and then, but it still works. I never even really used that mode on my M18. I doubt I'm ever going to use it on this as well. So that's not really even a feature I care about. But again, I wanted to show it to you in use. So that's a 3/4 board finger joint pine. Also a 3/4 plywood. I'm going to move down here now. This is some 7/8 thickness actual. I measured it to see what it was. It's probably like was a 1-inch board and it shrunk some. Probably was a 5/4. This is some old barnwood, and I'm talking about the grain on this is extremely thick, or extremely tight, not thick. If it will shoot through this, it will shoot through anything. And if I take that now and put that in there, again, I'm going to have it on the same. I'll go ahead and move it down maybe a little bit. We'll see what this does. Shoots in there fine. You can't really see the nail. Holding that on there just fine. So power-wise, I feel like it's not going to be an issue for shooting 18-gauge brad nails. Probably no matter what wood you go into. Like I said, if it's going to go in this, it's going to go in oak, it's going to go in all those things. Not going to be a problem with those, so it shoots extremely well in my opinion. But now let me show you the reason why I swap back and forth between 2-inch nails sometimes to 1.25" or 1.5" in this case is what I'll be using here, is because on door jambs, and again this ain't exactly, you know, I'd have drywall here, obviously this jamb would be moved out, but whenever I put my trim on there and I create my reveal, so if you just have some casing like this, you want to have a 1/4 inch, 3/16 reveal, 1/8 inch, whatever it is you're doing, I typically like to shoot shorter nails from here into my jamb material because it's just less likely if I shoot a 2-inch, especially on some pine, if I hit that grain right, it's more likely to come out here because it's just a longer nail. There's more opportunity for that to happen. So oftentimes I will take my M18, and if I get this lined up, I've got 2-inch nails in here. I will have that lined up. With my reveal, I will go around the outside edge and shoot longer nails in like that. And then I'd swap over later to some shorter nails. I might go around the whole entire perimeter with my M18, shooting longer nails in. And then now I can just take this M12 with my shorter nails, come in here on the inside, shoot that reveal, and go around the inside and get those in like that. So that's how I'm going to use this nail gun. I'm going to use this setup with 1.5", 1.25" nails pretty much all the time. And then I'll have both these nail guns set up. And then again, maybe there's going to be a time later where I can't get this one in the spot, and I can use this. It's just going to be another option for me, but that's how it shoots pretty much. Whether it's prime boards, casing, plywood, barnwood, it seems like it does pretty good in my opinion, but that's at least it in action and how it works. So yeah guys, that's the new M12 Fuel compact 18-gauge brad nailer. Again, my recommendations is if you don't have either one of these and you run both batteries, I would buy the M18 because it's been few and far between. I haven't been able to fit that wherever I've needed it to. It's not a crazy heavy tool. I can use it all day and it doesn't seem to bother me that bad. And again, that 2-inch nail is something that you're probably going to use pretty often. I think that you would want this one. The person who would only want this one, basically to me, the only reason why would be if you're only in M12 and you don't have any M18 tools, any M18 batteries, all those kinds of things, and you need a brad nailer, 1.5" nails are okay with you, then really this is your only option. So to me, that would be the only person who would buy specifically this nail gun. And then who needs both? To me, again, it's someone who uses nail guns pretty often. I don't think if you're someone who just picks up your nail gun a couple times a week and you don't use it all that often and you don't have a problem with this fitting in your space, at $249, I feel like to me this is a luxury tool. This is a person who you swap between nails a lot, different sizes, and you normally even run 2 brad nailers maybe sometimes. And this one's just way more compact, so why not get the benefit of I'm going to use my small nails in this one, and then I'll have that compact size when I need it, versus instead of buying 2 brad nailers that are a little bit bigger or something like that. Maybe that's the person for this. I think it's a luxury tool, not necessarily everybody needs to own this tool in my opinion, and that's primarily, again, because the price point and the nail size. If it shot 2-inch nails, I mean, I'd say buy this thing all day long because it's smaller and it's going to do the same exact thing. But because it's got some limitations, I think it's a luxury tool that if it makes you more efficient, makes your job more enjoyable because it's lighter over the course of the day, or it doesn't get you mad because it will fit pretty much anywhere you need it to, then it's worth spending that money just to make your job go better, make your life a little bit easier, those kinds of things. But again, that's just my opinion on things. Take it for whatever you want. But again, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about it. If you think it's a good tool for people to buy, if you think that I'm wrong on my perception of it as far as who needs it, who doesn't need it, those kinds of things, drop that in the comments below as well. But I'm just trying to help you decide whether or not this is the right tool for you, or maybe you should just buy the M18, or maybe you need both. Hopefully I helped you with that. That's the goal. As always, hope it was useful. Stay safe. Have a blessed day. See you on the next video.